With the completion of the last man in vote, the 2022 NHL All-Star rosters are set. And like every other year, there are some major snubs. So today, we're going to build an 11-man All-Star team of the biggest snubs in 2022. Let's get started. Hey everybody, we are getting close to the NHL All-Star game, which is just about 2 weeks away, coming up at the beginning of February. And with the last man in vote ending earlier this week, the rosters are set. Each division has an 11-player roster that they are sending to Las Vegas for the 3-on-3 tournament. And, well, like every year, there's quite a few snubs this year. Some guys that I thought should have been All-Stars certainly have been playing at an All-Star level, but will not be taking part in the game. So for some fun, I thought it would be kind of interesting to take those snubbed players, those guys that are having great seasons but didn't make the All-Star teams, and put them on their own team, their all-snub team, and see how this snubbed roster would compare against some of the other actual picked divisional rosters that are going to the All-Star game. So there's a lot of different reasons for guys to get snubbed. A lot of it has to do with each team having to send at least one player. That takes up a lot of spots right there. And guys that play for teams that are already sending multiple players, there just really wasn't room for them. And also, the fact that there's only 11 spots per division. You could think 8 teams in a division, only 11 All-Star spots. That's a lot of players that are playing really, really well that just don't have a spot with these small rosters. So for whatever the reason, there are quite a few snubs this year, and let's get started looking at my All-Star Snub Team, and we'll see how these guys would fare against some of the actual picked All-Star teams. So, starting at forward, I have Mikko Rantanen from the Colorado Avalanche. Now, Colorado could have sent, probably 4 or 5 guys to the All-Star game easily. They already are sending 3, with Nazem Kadri winning the last man in vote, and then McKinnon and Makar already going. But Mikko Rantanen is 7th in the NHL in points this season with 46. Has only done that in 34 games, which is very, very impressive, and is a plus 21 on the year. So the fact that Mikko Rantanen isn't an All-Star is pretty crazy given how good he's been this season. We also have Brad Marchand from the Boston Bruins. Only one Bruin going to the All-Star game this year. It's Patrice Bergeron, who obviously is a great player and very deserving, but Brad Marchand's got 43 points in 31 games this year, 20 goals, a +4 rating. He's actually been better than Bergeron, and I'm kind of surprised that Bergeron's going ahead of him. But Marchand, to me, a massive snub in this year's All-Star game and should have been an All-Star. Artemi Panarin from the New York Rangers. Now, Chris Kreider is going from the Rangers. He's obviously very, very well deserving, especially with his goal scoring this year. But Artemi Panarin has 40 points in 35 games, 10 goals, 30 assists, a +3 rating, playing almost 20 minutes a night. Panarin has still had an All-Star caliber season for the New York Rangers. Obviously, with Kreider going and Fox going, there wasn't really a spot there for him, but he's certainly an All-Star caliber player and having a very good year offensively, and he makes my All-Star snub team for sure. Evgeny Kuznetsov from the Washington Capitals. I really think probably should have gotten an All-Star nod this year because he is back to being the Evgeny Kuznetsov that was such an instrumental part of the Capitals' success back in 2018 when they won the Cup. And after a couple of down years, he has really bounced back this season. 39 points in 37 games, +11 rating, getting it done at both ends of the ice, and just a really awesome comeback season for Evgeny Kuznetsov this year, who really needed it after kind of some down seasons the last couple of years. It's good to see him getting back to being classic Evgeny Kuznetsov. JT Miller, also A point per game player this year for the Vancouver Canucks. 12 goals, 27 assists, 39 points. Miller, if there were more spots in the Pacific, I definitely think would have been on the short list to make the Pacific Division team. But he makes my All-Star Snub Team here. I think, point per game guy, really, really good player. Having another solid season on a team that was absolutely miserable to start the year. Has obviously gotten better recently, but for him to put up numbers like he has on a team that hasn't been good for most of this season, I think that speaks volumes about JT Miller's ability. And then finally, we got another Colorado Avalanche player, and it's Gabriel Landeskog, who's been limited to just 29 games this season, but has 37 points in those 29 games and is also a plus 17. He would make the last spot for sure on my All-Star Snub Team. I think there are a number of guys that could have been put there, but Landeskog, with his points per game, absolutely through the roof this season. I think definitely was all-star material this year and could have made it. But obviously Colorado has already sent 3 guys to begin with. Didn't have enough room for them to send 5. But they definitely could have with how good a lot of their top players have played this season. Moving on now to defense, clear-cut, biggest snub for me as far as defenseman goes, and maybe the biggest snub in general is Roman Josi from the Nashville Predators. He is 3rd in the NHL this year among defensemen in points, with 40 points in 39 games, 13 goals, which is 2nd among defensemen, only behind Cale Makar, who is going to the All-Star game. 27 assists on top of that, plus 6 rating, playing over 25 minutes a night, which is absolutely incredible for, such an elite number 1 defenseman carrying the team on the back end. And again, 40 points in 39 games for Roman Josi, and he's somehow not an All-Star. He absolutely makes the All-Star Snub Team. Aaron Ekblad as well from the Florida Panthers. Aaron Ekblad is 5th among defensemen in points in the NHL this year. He's got 10 goals, 25 assists, 35 points, and is a plus 27 on the year. He's also playing 25 minutes a night for the Panthers. And obviously, Florida's been one of the best teams in the league this season. He makes the snub team. And my 3rd defenseman, Chris Letang from the Pittsburgh Penguins. He only has 3 goals on the year, but he has 30 assists this season, 33 points, a plus 17 rating. He's just under a point per game, and he's playing almost 26 minutes a night, just absolutely carrying the back end for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Pittsburgh's had a very solid year so far. So Letang definitely gets the last defense spot. And Josi, Ekblad, and Letang make up my defense for the All-Snub Team. And finally now we get to goaltending. And this was honestly pretty easy. Sergei Bobrovsky and Igor Shesterkin are my 2 goaltenders. Shesterkin has an absolutely incredible .938 save percentage for the New York Rangers this year. Is 18-4-2 on the season. Only a 2.03 goals against average. Igor Shesterkin might end up winning the Vezina Trophy this year. He's certainly in contention for it, and he certainly should have been an All-Star. With the way that he's played this season. He's been absolutely outstanding. And then Sergei Bobrovsky, a really good bounce-back season for Bobrovsky in Florida. His first 2 years with the Panthers certainly didn't go as hoped. His goals against was way too high. Save percentage was down a lot lower than expected. But he's having a big year this year. 19-3-3 for the Panthers. A .921 save percentage. Just finally getting back to where it's supposed to be for a goaltender of the caliber of Bobrovsky. 2.47 goals against average. He is my 2nd goaltender to make the All-Star Snub Team here. And, man, this is a pretty darn good team. These guys are somehow not all-stars this year. Again, a lot of it has to do with the format and the way it's set up and the limited roster spots for each team. But, man, I think this snub team could very easily compete and maybe even beat a few of the All-Star teams that were selected by division. And I think this would be a really, really good, very difficult team to be out there on the ice. And, I want to know what you guys think. How do you think this team would fare in the All-Star 3-on-3 tournament that they do for the All-Star game? Do you think this team could win it? Because honestly, with this goaltending and with this much talent on the ice, I think this team could potentially win it, even against the other All-Star teams that were actually picked. There's a ton of talent here on this snub team. But all in all, just thought that this would be kind of a fun thing to do with the All-Star game coming up. There were a lot of guys that I think were more than deserving of being All-Stars that did not make it. You kind of put those guys together on their own team, I think they'd be a very formidable opponent for the All-Star teams that were selected. So, especially guys like Rantanen and Marchand, Yossi on the back end, Shesterkin in goal. Those four guys really jumped out to me as big-time snubs that should have been All-Stars and aren't. But again, with the format, it's kind of limited on how many teams or how many players each team can send. It's also kind of watered down a little bit because every team has to send at least one player. So, you have some guys going from pretty lousy teams that probably aren't better than some of the guys that missed, but because of the format, they'll get to go, and the guys that aren't selected will have to miss out. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Just thought it'd be kind of fun to do something like this and talk about the All-Star teams a little bit. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, links to our merchandise store, membership, and donation links are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.